Psalm 18, verse 30 says, "As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is flawless, and he is a shield for all who take refuge in him." This was the verse that I was challenged to memorize when I decided to get baptized. I was about 10 years old, and my grandfather actually baptized me. He was kind of my mentor in the faith growing up, and I had gone to Wainema for a summer camp, Camp Wainema, and while I was there, I felt like I wanted to get baptized, and when you're at camp and you decide you want to get baptized, they try to call your family and see if they feel okay with it or if they want to come see the baptism. And when I talked to my mom, she was like, "Well, we're all excited that you want to get baptized, but we'd really like to do it with the whole family and have everybody be there. So why don't you come home and talk to Grandpa about it, and then you can see what he says, and then we can do it then." So I came home and I talked to my grandpa, and I really wanted my grandpa to baptize me. And my grandpa had been in ministry his entire life, and he asked me a series of questions, making sure I understood what I was signing up for. And he actually told me, I normally don't baptize kids very young because I don't think that they really understand it, but I think you have a good enough understanding, and so I'm going to go ahead and do this, but I want you to find a verse in scripture and memorize it. Now, I'd like to be able to say that I then, at 10 years old, spent hours and hours reading through my Bible to find a very important scripture, but if I'm being honest, this is what I did. I flipped open and I read the first verse that I saw, and it sounded good, and that was it. "As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is flawless, and he is a shield for all who take refuge in him." And when I read that, I was like, that sounds good to me. I can memorize that. And I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't feel like I did anything bad. Memorized it, and that's a great verse. But I got baptized, and then over the years, I kind of drifted from my Christian living and following the Lord. And especially in high school, I was just kind of off, I guess, kind of doing the prodigal son thing. And after I graduated high school, I went back to Camp Wainema for the last time as a camper. And I came to realize that I had drifted very far from the Lord. And I started to think back, and I remembered that passage, and I was like looking to read some scripture to be encouraged. And so I went to Psalm 18 and I read the entire Psalm, not just the one verse that I saw right away. And I wish I had time to read you the whole thing, but I'll just go back to verse 25. Psalm 18 verse 25 says, "To the faithful you show yourself faithful, and to the blameless you show yourself blameless. To the pure you show yourself pure, but to the devious you show yourself shrewd. You save the humble, but bring low the eyes of those who are prideful. You, Lord, keep my lamp burning. My God turns my darkness into light. And with your help, I can advance against a troop, and with my God, I can scale a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The Lord's word is flawless, and he shields all who take refuge in him. For who is God besides the Lord, and who is the rock except our God? It is God who arms me with strength and keeps my way secure." And when I think back to how I first picked my baptism verse, for a while I was like, man, I can't believe I did that so impulsively and so childishly. But then over the years, I've come to realize that Jesus says that those who have a faith like a child are those who will be found with him in the kingdom of heaven. And I started to think like, wow, that childish impulsiveness that I had there set up that moment for years later when I needed to hear the word of the Lord. And I was like, the only thing I know is Psalm 18, so I'm going to go read that. And I found that to the faithful, he shows himself faithful. And so that's a little bit of my baptism story, and I hope that you would be encouraged to know that God shows himself faithful time and time again.